Good afternoon, Habarigani.
Habarigani.
I'm really excited about being here, and this is a real challenge to me because I know the kinds of people that CPE attracts, you know, so I know you're guys who will activists, you know, you're on the front line.
Yes.
And so I'm coming with something, I think Nzinga kind of overdid it. I'm not a total pastor, but I really do think that we've been, well, Dr. DeGroote leads into that. You know, we've been conditioned in a way of behaving, and often we just kind of unconsciously pass that on to the children. And for me, the opportunity now is to focus on what's best for them, because they're going to be the one that's going to transform some of the mess that's going on. And so we have to make sure that we're not passing down the things that we've been brainwashed as we're moving. We must clear ourselves so they can be clear as they possibly can. Because I'm convinced at this point that we're born genius. Some people refer, you know, to God, and then that sparks a whole conversation about what your concept is of God, or, you know, what you call it. Then we get in an argument about that. But bottom line is, if animals can come and know what they are to do, and if the seasons change automatically without somebody going and setting a temperature or dial, something tells me that I'm a part of that creation. And what I notice is that in this culture, we never get to self. There's always something else to keep us occupied, and usually it's arguing with each other about who's right and who's wrong, and we just never get to appreciate ourselves, and then by appreciating ourselves, we also appreciate that others have that too. And we're going to do a little thing about differences, because we do have differences, you know? But the thing is, if we're in control, then we choose what we do, because we look for our purpose on the planet, and you know that everybody doesn't have that same purpose, so you can kind of, you know, choose. And you don't have to spend time trying to destroy the person who's opposed. There's a saying that we find comfort among those who agree with us, and that's true. But we find growth among those who don't, because that means that you can sit and listen to another point of view, you know, and not be taken off track. Once you see about what your purpose is, it's not about having somebody agree with you, it's about how can I forward my purpose. And I'm declaring now, my purpose is to save our children, to rescue our children. What I'd like to say here, I had written a note, we kind of covered it thanks to Nzinga. Homework. The title came about as creating a lab at home, a learning lab. A lot of times we get that when we take our children to school. If they're not doing well at school, you know, we herd them in and they do repeats with them of what went on in class. And that's considered supporting and empowering your child. But there are opportunities for us to create the home as a learning lab, as an example, really a miniature of the world at large, because there are things that they can do. It's been proven that learning retention holds longer by the act of doing something, applying what you learned, than simply listening, you know, at the rhetoric and not being involved. So the home is a part of the real world. The home is a part of everything goes on. There's math skills required in there. There's reading skills. There's community activism opportunities. You know, depending on where we can give them an experience that they can leave the house going into the school with expectations and even demands of what they on themselves and on the curriculum. So there's an opportunity here, and I think we're up to seizing that. Howard Gardner, and it's interesting how things are used. Howard Gardner a few years ago did a lot of writing and came up with the concept of multiple intelligences. So that put a clamp on this whole idea that intelligence is simply your verbal linguistics, you know, and math. So there was that. So a lot of the schools incorporated that. a lot of schools incorporated that, but they became learning styles. So the emphasis, there's a difference for me when I say, well, these are learning styles, than presenting them as intelligence, innate intelligences. So it implies to me that you don't have to go anywhere. There's something innate that you come with, that you just gravitate towards certain things. And I'm having fun doing that now with my grandchildren. I've taken a stand, and Zingel was right. We took a stand some time ago that, hitting was out, And so my children know that. So I think they slipped. I mean, if they did it, they managed to keep it under cover, but they know the stand. It's like we find another way. Discipline means teach, not punish. What we came away with, the discipline means you punish them, and that usually means kicking. But the idea is to teach appropriate behavior. So I think if we can look and see that what we need is to rescue our children from this atrocious system, however you see it, whatever it is, we have to rescue them. And so what we look for is how we can provide that emotional security that they can go into any situation and they can extract what's good for them. They can recognize what's beneficial for them. The workshop homework is not about the system, which we know must be changed because it's simply not working. It's not about any of the isms that exist. And we have, how many isms can you name?
Racism.
Idealism.
Classism.
Classism.
I said that already.
Sorry? Sexism. Okay.
Asian.
Yeah. Okay.
Cronyism.
Okay. Yeah, we got good jobs of isms, right? We just use up a month dealing with a different ism, like maybe 3 or 4 isms a day. But that's not what it's about here. What it is about is it's about resurrecting the true meaning of education, whose Latin roots, educare and educere, meant to bring forth. Mm-hmm. It's about using home and family as a learning lab, governed by the 3 R's. Now I say the 3 R's. Who here, let me see where I am. Who remembers when there were 3 hours attached to education? What were they?
Reading.
Yes, reading, writing, and arithmetic. Of course, writing and arithmetic something was dropped off to get the R, right? But everybody knew reading, writing, and arithmetic. Well, I've talked to some parents, young parents now, and they were like taking all kinds of guesses, but nobody could get reading, writing, and arithmetic.
Right.
So that gives you a sense of how things change. There's a saying that if the human mind can adjust to anything, if it's exposed to it a certain time. And that's the problem with media. That's the danger of media. Because if you expose something long enough, no matter how crude it sounded in the beginning, if it's repeated over and over again, pretty soon it becomes norm. And that's what we're battling. So the 3 R's that in this resurrection that I'm working with is, the first R is responsibility. The second is relationship. And the third is resources. And those are the 3 R's that's needed to nurture smart individuals who will transform their families, communities, and all systems that promote profit over people. Now the SMART comes from, I have fun with acronyms, sometimes it changes around and they don't always make sense.